This is the continual evolution of the East Coast beat. Um, Summertime is coming. Today is 95 is the high, but luckily, when I was coming back from the laundromat, I walk to the laundromat. It's almost less, it's supposed to be less than half a mile, like 0.3 miles away. So I walked there and back, and I was walking back, and it was 90 something degrees, but there was a nice breeze, and I sweat easily, so I was just dripping with sweat, but it felt pretty good. And it was a pleasant day. I mean, I've had losses during the winter time. People I've known, closer, some of my closer friends when I was young, one of them passed a long time ago. And it was basically during the cold part of spring. I lost my dog Mermaid in the cold. Well, actually, she died like on a sunny day, you know what I'm saying? But that part between winter and spring, that's those snaps of cold have come with personal losses in my time. But yeah, what can I say? I mean, it is a season, you know what I'm saying? So I was thinking, if I had, say, somebody said, hey, teach something. Um, in the flicker of stars, all things change, and I see you, and I know that I have waited here to walk with you. Whatever becomes of these dark nights, these long hours of pre dawn void, nothing but the sounds of the neighbors' dogs and the hum of the neon lit 24-hour 7-Eleven and the insides of the old apartment complex courtyards. What is it that we are searching for? I hear whispers telling me to smile. I hear whispers telling me to stay silent. I listen to the violins, and I remain silent in the end. What can be said? When I was in the army, I got into a little problem involving alcohol, and I got arrested, and I blew, I think it was a .16. So they made me go to alcohol community counseling, and they made me take alcohol classes. And then part of that, or somehow during all that, my social worker set up an appointment to take the MMPI two multiphasic personality test, and I came up pretty high on narcissism, and then I came up noticeably high on borderline and antisocial. So I thought, oh, I'm a narcissistic borderline anti. I didn't know that borderline and antisocial were considered two separate things. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm borderline antisocial. And narcissism was something I didn't understand. I had never really heard of it at the time. This was in 92, 93, probably 93, 94 when this all happened. So I'd never really heard of narcissism, and but I met a girl, a German girl, and she turned me on to Hermann Hesse, and one of his books was Narcissus and Goldman, and Narcissus in the book is simply this. He's an older monk that has dedicated his life to the cloister. He has dedicated his life to ancient knowledge. He's dedicated his life to passing it down to the next generation. He lives within the wall of the church. And Goldman wanted to see the world. So Narcissus to me was just simply, Goldman fell in love with Narcissus because Narcissus was one of the teachers that had stayed with him. Like Every time he met a new master, like he became a sculptor, so he had to go through an apprentice program to become a master. So he had to apprentice under a master. But every time he met a new master, he would compare them to Goldman. And in the end, um, he sculpted a statue. I think it was Saint John, or I think it was Saint John, but he sculpted it in the image of Narcissus, his old monk teacher. And so, in the flicker of stars, all things change. Um, you can be young and you want to see the world. Well, that's natural to some, I guess. I mean, it was natural to me. So you want to travel the world and you want to drink French wine in France, and you want to eat, Swiss chocolate in Switzerland, and you want to drink German beer in Germany, and you want to do these things. I got to do a couple of those things, I mean, but like, like I said, you want to experience the world. Like I said, it all started at a certain age when an opportunity came about, and it was a hard decision, but I made the decision that opened up the rest of the world to me at that age. You know what I'm saying? Without it, I would have never done any of that. So, in the flicker of the stars at night, all things change. So some situations can seem unending, unendless. There's no way out. That's understandable. I felt that way many times. And occasionally I feel the pit of my stomach, the fear that it might come on again. You know what I'm saying? And that I'd be on the other side of saying, oh, all things change. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I'll be like, because there have been times where I've thought, oh, this is how it is. This is my baseline. This is my reality. But no, it's not. You know what I'm saying? I've come out of that several times. So all things change. In the flicker of the stars at night, all things change. I mean, what does it take? What does it take? For me, simple things sometimes. Sometimes, I see a clean looking couple, or I see, somebody that put together a really nice looking outfit, because in San Bernardino, a lot of outfits are like sweats. Sweats are a big thing, winter and summer. Summertime it's just gym clothes, but sweats and gym clothes. So people don't really put on outfits unless they're really going out. So, and I don't really go out to those kind of places anymore. So, every now and then when I see somebody put together a really good outfit, I think, yeah, I used to kind of try to do that myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna buy this specifically to wear to, a lounge or a club or a restaurant or a bar. Like, I don't plan on wearing this to the post office. You know what I'm saying? This is a specific go out outfit. And sometimes I like when I get to see people in their go out outfits. You know what I'm saying? But, like I said, San Bernardino, a lot of people sweats, so like just this, like what I'm wearing right now. You can find that on the streets of San Bernardino, 360. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's raining, there's going to be some guy watering his lawn with a tank top on and a pair of shorts. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how they do it, but they do it. So, whatever becomes of those dark nights, the long hours of pre dawn void, those were the times when you used to think somewhere between pure fantasy and trying to keep it real, you were working out I mean, I didn't have TV. When I was in the army, I didn't have a TV in my room. When I had my own room, I didn't have a TV. I didn't have a video game system. I did have a CD player though, because I did listen to CDs. But I didn't have a TV, so I would just imagine a world. I mean, it was easy. I had castles, I take the train past a vineyard. I take the train past these old two, three, 400-year-old buildings. And I've even asked my friend, his German girlfriend, one time we got off the train and I was like, look, I've gone past this, whatever this is, like at least 20, 30 times. I don't know what it is. And she's all, neither do I, but it was nice. And like I said, that's the thing. Um, that's how I live my life. At one point, I was broke in Florida. Then I got a job working at a movie theater. And then I had enough money and I met a friend that had a car. So, she knew I was going to join the army. So she took me out. She showed me a good time. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then we go out to eat, at college, because she was college age, but she had like three jobs, and she was a work, she was working. She was a modern dance instructor, an Egyptian dance instructor, a photographer, and she worked at the movie theater. So she had like three jobs. So she was not one for taking classes. She'd rather, her ultimate ambition in life, um, at the time, was to work for National Geographic, to like get a job with National Geographics. You know what I'm saying? So we went to this one lake where they had alligators, and we rented a canoe, and we went hunting for alligators, and the canoe tipped over, and we ended up in the water, and the girls freaked out. I was with two other girls. It's her name was Stacy, and then the other girl's name was Shelly, and Shelly worked at the gas station with us, or Shelly worked at the movie theater with us. So we all went canoeing that day, and she was gonna take pictures, and we went under a overhanging tree, and I guess we all leaned to the same side, which you're not supposed to do, so the canoe just tipped over. And one of the girls climbed up in the tree, and the other girl got to the. I wonder why they're freaking out. And they're like, Oliver, there's alligators in these waters. That's why we came here, to take pictures of them. And I'm looking for the camera, and she finally tells me, get out of the water. Come on, let's go. So we took off. But yeah, like I said, there was a time where, I mean, I've lived coast to coast. I've lived in the 100-degree summer days, and then I've lived in the, it's colder here than in Alaska, parts of Colorado. You know what I'm saying? I remember one time I was getting ready for work. Um, I was working as a cook, so I had to be there by like 5 in the morning or something like that. I can't remember, but or 4:30, something like that. So it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, and I'm drinking coffee, and I'm listening to the radio. I lived with like six other people at the time. I wasn't even on the lease. They were just letting me stay in an extra room, and and I had a job at the hospital. That's where I was working at, and I'm listening to the radio at like 3:30 in the morning, drinking a cup of coffee, and he's like, "It's colder here than in Anchorage, Alaska," and I was like, I did not need to hear that, because the I had blown out my engine to my Volkswagen transport van, so I had to walk it or take the bus, and the bus was notorious for leaving me, and it was a once an hour bus, so if it left me, I would be late for work. So I would just walk it. It was only a mile and a half, I think. Or it was between a mile and a half and 2 miles. It wasn't really. It was like a cool. I mean, back then, like 30, 40 minute walk. But I just got out the army, so I could still walk. 2 miles to work and 2 miles back, and on a 24-degree day, negative something, with a negative wind chill. You know what I'm saying? But I dug Colorado too. So, like I said, Some people tell you when you look out into the world and you see what you see that you should smile. And some people tell you that you should stay silent. I usually choose to stay silent. The continual evolution of the East Coast beat.